Tū taua mai I runga, tū taua mai I raro, tū taua mai I waho, tū taua mai I roto. Kia tau ai te mauri tū, te mauri ora ki te katoa, haumie, huie, taikie. Ko George, taku ingoa, kei Tamaki Makaurau taku kāinga, ko au te Science Engagement Manager I Nesi, tēnā tātou katoa. So I'm George, I'm Science Engagement Manager here at Nesi, and kicking off this webinar to basically, last time we wanted to share a bit more about what was coming. This time we're sharing more about what you need to do. So the practical advice to migrate over to the new platform. For those of you who haven't been deep in the weeds like we have been working really, really hard to prepare this new platform. It is ready for you. That's very exciting. I wish I had a trumpet fanfare right now. So much work from the team on all of this. So a big thank you and shout out to the team. So what is prepared is we have on demand, so we still have interactive compute. It will look a little bit different, a little bit better. We have our new HPC, new AI GPUs. We still have our fabulous research developer cloud, and that's now much closer to the HPC. This is all going to be done off some upgraded shared storage and Nearline, which I know many of you loved for all its quirks, is being given an upgrade, or maybe it's not even an upgrade. We've got a fresh option for you with Freezer. So lots has been happening, and the team will take you through more of that as we go through. But the key things we want you to take from this are, so everyone can now log into the new platforms, and pretty much everyone can now run jobs on the new platforms. Please be aware that one of the improvements we've made to how we're doing platforms is that we can now continuously improve them. And that means that you're going to see that. So we're constantly optimizing. That means we love feedback and we hope to respond really quickly, especially in these early phases as we add all the features in that you need. As I said, everyone can log in and start work right away, or pretty much everyone. So we do know there are some known features or issues that we're still working on, and to confirm what's in place and whether you're ready to log in, you can go check out that known issues page, and I'm sure someone, if they haven't already, will drop in that link. Just to prick up your ears, so it might impact you if you're doing engineering research, if you've got jobs running for longer than a week, if you need SSDs. I think that's the list, but at the moment, and we expect to resolve those pretty quickly. So what we're encouraging people to do is check out that known issues page pretty regularly, and we'll be chasing you as well. We're really encouraging you. We have done, well, the whole of Nesi, some people in particular, but there's been so much work preparing the platform for you, and everyone's pretty pumped to get the research happening on it. So what we need from you now is to come across and validate all that work for us, essentially. So come across and get working on there and migrate, and the team will talk through what actual migration means and looks like. We do want you to be aware, we flagged this last time, there are going to be capacity fluctuations. We're aware of that, and we want you to be aware of that, but they're going to be over maybe the next sort of four to 6 weeks as opposed to ongoing. So that's something to note. And what we need from you is these things in green. So by the 26th of May, all jobs on Milan. So that's sort of the newer section of Mahuika, and the HGX partitions will be finished, because that kit's jumping on a truck. Well, it won't jump, literally. It will be very carefully wrapped, prepared, unplugged, all those things, and carefully brought up lovingly to its new home in Tamaki Makaurau. So that's one to be aware of. We do want you, one of the key things is this glorious little folder, I think it is, that you can drop somewhere appropriate, which was Goodbye GPFS. So that's going to be the signal to us that you've completed the migration, you're comfortable over in the new platform, and we will be keeping track of all those goodbyes over the next little while. I'm not sure I can send a chocolate fish to whoever gives us a Goodbye GPFS first, but no, there's like a virtual, there's a sort of, we're thinking of you, and we'll give you a high five perhaps. All right, moving on. Hopefully many of you have seen this timeline already, and it won't be a shock, but let's go through it anyway. Everyone can get started on the new platform. There's on demand, so your interactive compute mechanisms, the cluster's up and running, you're going to be using the new storage, and to be perfectly honest, there's only a handful of people there right now, so it's a good time to go and check it out. End of next week, sort of over the next weekend, May 26th, Maui will be retired from NESI service. So farewell, thank you for your service, Maui, but you will all be prepared and ready and active over on the new platform. So that's a key date to be aware of. And at that same time, that's when those Milan nodes and the HGX boxes are going to be switched off and head up country, all to be sort of reinstated mid-June. And at that point, the whole platform, like Mahuika as we know it, will be turned off. So keep that in the back of your mind, a mid-June deadline around sort of being on the old platforms. And the key message actually is that capacity fluctuation. So we know that depending on the platform and the week, you might have longer queue times or wait times and slower throughput of your work. And if you are using those specialty nodes, please be particularly mindful of where they're going to be at different times, and we can share that info with you. And for those who like a list, here we go. So this is essentially the same information. We do want to acknowledge that last time we flagged that there was a scheduled outage coming. We've decided to put that off a little bit, so you don't need to worry about that next week. That key sort of next date is 26th of May, and that's going to impact lots of people. So we want you to get across and get testing and migrating over to Genoa and the new platform as soon as possible, right now. Maybe we could do it today. Late May, early June, we have Freezer coming online. So I know that's of particular interest to a handful of you. So we'll let you know as soon as that's ready. We also, I think it's logical, we are not bringing new projects onto the old systems right now. They're just about to move. So if you apply for a new allocation or project right now, or you hear your colleagues are doing the same, they're not going to be let onto the old platform right now. We'll bring them in straight into the new platform. And we expect those allocations to start on June 1st, if not a little bit earlier, but June 1st, we'll make sure people are back on with new projects. And 13 June, so that's that mid-June timeline I was talking about, is when that access to Mahuika HPC is closed off. All right. Now, this is where take out your pens and pencils, engage the brain. Anthony has prepared this demo of logging into the new system. So I will test my NOS here, and hopefully this will work.
Now, the first thing you're going to need to do to access the new HPC platforms is you're going to need to set up your login configuration. Now, for those of you who have been using a standard SSH terminal to access Maui and Mahaweka, you've already done almost all the work. The only things you're going to need to do is edit your currently existing SSH config file with the new detail of the new HPC platforms. And so let's do that. So first thing first, let's open up a terminal, and then we go nano /ssh, and then /config. And then if we open up this config file, we can see already set up systems, and now we just need to copy over the terminal setup from the linked page. And so if we open up this page, we can get to our standard terminal setup. And now it's very straightforward to get to the standard terminal setup from the sign page. You just follow this big red button, and then you go here, and then you'll get to the standard terminal setup. And so if we scroll down here, all we need to do is copy this entire block. Then we add it in here, and then we can replace the username with our own username. And once we've done that, we just need to exit and save. And so now, if we use SSH SE, we should be able to log in. And now, this is a major difference from logging on the previous platform. Previously, you would enter a password and SigFactor that you all set up. Now, with the new systems, it is all authenticated through ToolCarrier via the browser. So if I open up this link here, now in my browser, it will take me to an authentication page. And as this is the first time I'm logging in, I need to say whether I trust this device. So I say, yes, I trust this device, and I can name it whatever I want. So I can just go with the default setting. And now I get provided a authentication token, which I will need to scan, because this is a new separate authentication token which is different from the one that we've been using on Mahaweka and app. Let me open up my authenticator. Scan this new code. So now I've got my new code, and I need to enter it down here to prove that I've got it. And then I can then submit. And now I've successfully logged in with SSH. And so I'm over here, I can press enter. Now, for now, you have to authenticate twice. But once the systems are fully up and running, you'll only have to authenticate once. But for now, you do need to authenticate twice. So I need to open that link again, go back. And now that I've logged in once, and I said I trust this device, I don't need to log in again, and I won't need to use my SigFactor that I set up for another week. So I've logged in, back over, and now I'm logged into the platform. Now, in addition to the send terminal login, we also have an on-demand service available. And so if you go to this link, which is just ondemand.nesi.org.nz, you'll get taken to this page where you can log in to on-demand. You just hit login. You will be prompted with the same authentication code system that you had if this was the first time you've logged into on-demand, or if it's the first time you've logged in via a terminal. Since I've already just logged in, it's logged me in automatically now, and I can see we have the available applications. And so those of you who used Jupyter previously on our previous systems, or current systems, I suppose, we still have Jupyter Lab available and our Studio available and Virtual Desktop available, but we now also have a VS Code Server available. Unfortunately, Slurm is not currently available for the Slurm Access is not currently available for any of these applications, so you can't submit jobs to the club to view it, but you can open interactive sessions with all of them. You can, however, use the File Explorer to look around in your directories and explore the files you have available. And we do have, we're working on getting SSH terminal set up here, which you can log in with. It will take you to the Landry, and then you'll need to log into the platform itself. It's not fully up and running, as it'll kick you out in 2 minutes, but that will still be available with a send terminal setting. Now, some of the other login configurations aren't working as they would like to be working. And one of those configurations is MobiX Term. The standard MobiX Term login configuration doesn't work with the current authentication system. However, you can set up terminal sessions to allow you to access these things. And we will imminently set up a YouTube video showing you how to set up a SSH terminal session with MobiX Term.
Okay. And sorry, I'm not keeping an eye on the chat, but I'm sure there's lots of links being fired in there because I do believe we already have that up on YouTube. So thanks, Anthony, for pulling that together.
Now, the first thing you're going to need to do.
Here we go. I think we're over to John now.
Before passing on to John, I'll just quickly note that in the minutes after setting up that video, it was set up that the SSH login ability for on-demand is now available. So that is out of date within minutes of me recording it. And I didn't have a chance to update it just yet.
I think you guys are experiencing the real-time nature of us bringing this all online and how we truly are continuously improving things. So it's good to hear. Nice work. Over to you, John.
Yeah, thanks, George. Thanks, Anthony. So I was just going to speak briefly about the new nodes. These are our new Gen 1 nodes, which are the only compute nodes on the cluster at the moment. Oh, sorry, George, if you go back, actually, I'll just mention about, there's a command I've put there which you can run to see that these Gen 1 nodes are larger than the Milan nodes you may be familiar with, or on Mahawika, the large partition, which was the older Broadwell nodes. So the nodes keep getting bigger and bigger. We've gone from 256 CPUs on Milan up to 336 on Genoa now. Go next slide, please, George. Oh, I'm sorry, I've updated the slides, but again, like George was saying, last minute changes. I don't think it's synced with this version. So the formatting is a bit incorrect here, but one thing to note, kind of an artifact of these nodes getting bigger, is there's now more cores per memory channel. So those who are getting into the weeds with their parallelization, you can now fit more processes can share the same access speed to memory, which could be important to you. It's gone up from 16 on the Milan nodes. It's 21 now on the Genoa nodes. And you can email us at support if you have questions about how to keep your parallel processes on a set of cores that share a memory channel. Next slide, please, George. And the other quantity that we're usually interested in is RAM for the size of the nodes. So we have 3 different classes of RAM of memory sizes on the nodes. So that's 2 gigabytes per core or less. Your job, that would kind of be equivalent to the old large partition, I suppose. We have 4 gigabytes per core. In between 2 and 4, we'll go in that middle category, the medium-sized memory nodes, and then our kind of huge mem equivalent or our large memory nodes, where it's 8 gigabytes or more per core. If your job's of that size, you'll get onto those nodes. One difference, if you remember on Mahawika, that was set up in the partitions. We had the big mem partition, the huge mem. We're not separating them in that way anymore, and Slurm will automatically put your job on the most appropriate node for you. And at the moment, 1.5 terabytes per node is the largest memory job you can run on the new cluster. Thanks. So that's it for me, just talking about the node sizes there. Oh, I also want to mention there was one final thing on the other side. Setting partition is almost always was probably not needed in most cases now, unless you have a very specific reason to use the Genoa cores rather than the Milan. So you can remove that from most of your scripts if you had it there for Mahawika. And that's it for me. Thank you. I'm not sure who I'm passing on to. Sorry for known issues page.
I can.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I guess the key thing is, as you saw, we're continuously improving. There are a handful of things that we know are features you know and love that we're still working on. This is changing almost hourly. But instead of waiting and not letting people on until it's all done, what we're doing is bringing you across, and we just ask that you go and check here. You know, if something's not working, we have our usual status page. You know, if there's a full-on outage or something's broken, it'll be the usual status page. But there's a few things we're still working on, and these are captured in this known issues page. And once again, go and check out the link, and go and spend some time there. Right, I think we're over to Peter now.
Hi, sorry you can't see me, but it's telling me it's disabled by the host.
We can work on that,
Oh,
Peter.
sorry, Peter, I did that. You were standing.
Never mind, you don't need to see me. Look at the slides instead. Okay, so now I've been asked to start my video. Okay. The migration of data from the current GPFS file system, the global file system that's shared across the cluster, so that's your home directory or project directory, no backup directory. That's been going on since February and continues. All of home and project are being migrated for any active projects, and any projects that have been active in the last couple of months. No backup data is only being migrated if you specifically request it by creating a .rsync filter file in that directory. We've covered this before, but just to quickly go over it. First of all, look at the instructions. Hopefully somebody's posting those in the chat, the page about moving to the new file system. There's a lot in there. The first section is this about how you might specify which files you want copied across. So if you have a mix of transient and more long-term data in your no backup, please try to leave behind the more transient stuff so that we don't spend a lot of time moving data that's not going to be needed at the new end or is only going to be needed for a couple of days. So yeah, there are more instructions, details about the syntax of this rsync filter file in our documentation, but very briefly, they look like this. Here's an example which says, don't copy across any files which end with a .tmp suffix, but other than those, do copy across the important directory and all of its contents. So that's something that somebody might put in their no backup directories rsync filter file. You can also put an rsync filter file in your home and no backup, your home and project directories, but there the default is to copy everything. So you'd only do that to exclude things. So that's optional. Now that people have been doing this for a while, we've run into some common problems. Here are the 3 most frequent mistakes that we've seen. The first one is maybe the most subtle one. Here the users asked for, so we'll assume that these are in a no backup directory, right, where the default is to copy nothing across to the new Weka file systems. So in this case, somebody has said that they want their very important file, but they haven't said to include the very directory or the very important directory. And so the very important file will never, rsync will never look at that or consider it. So rsync works like most things that scan directories. It works top down, listing the directory, drilling down into the lower layers as it goes. So as it's scanning your no backup directory, the first thing it's going to see is just going to see the very directory there. And it's going to say, have I been asked to copy the very directory? No. And so the contents of it will never get checked. And the next slide will show you the fix for that. The second common mistake is an inline comment, putting a comment on the end of the line after an inclusion or exclusion. That doesn't work, and it breaks it. It'll treat that as part of the file name. And these paths are not absolute paths in the GPFS file system. You don't need to give the full NESI no backup path to it. These paths are relative to the directory in which the rsync filter file appears, which will generally be your no backup directory. So if a path in here starts with a /, that just means anchored in the no backup directory at the top level. It doesn't mean anchored in the root of the whole file system. On the next slide, we have the right way of doing those 3 things. So for the nested directory, just also include its enclosing directories. And for the whole line comments, yeah, you can put in a comment, just make it take the whole line, put it on its own line if you want to put a comment in your rsync filter files. And yep, the paths should be relative. So in that case, just strip out the NESI no backup prefix. So now that people are starting to move across to the new system, you're going to want to know, was my data synchronized as I expected? And if so, how recently? So we've provided this command, nn data migration syncs. This is available on the Mahuika end, not in the new system. And that will show you the last 5 times that your data was synchronized across. You can ask to look at a particular project or a particular your login name, or by default, it will show you your home directory and your projects that you're a member of. So there we can see that for the NESI 5.9's project, it's been backing up the backup and it's been synchronizing the backup and the project directory, and it typically takes 4 hours for project and about half an hour for no backup. And we can see there that the no backup attempts, the last 2 have been partial. They didn't completely move all the data, which is most frequently because a file was moved, because it might take, say, half an hour. And during that time, you're doing work, your files are changing. So the synchronization procedure can be planning to copy a file across and then it disappears under it. So if you want to be reassured that your last synchronization was complete, check this. And if they're not, or if they're all not complete and you're worried about it, ask us about it. You can also get an idea from that. I might need more on that last slide. You can also get an idea from that output of the frequency of the synchronizations. Right now, it's about every 2.5 days, on average, and when the most recent one was, which might help you to plan when you move across to the new system. Once you're on the new system, you can also obviously check your data just using the ls command to explore, see what's there, and you can use the df command to see how much data is there and check it's as much as you expected. Also, when you're running on the new system, because these synchronizations are continuing, your files there, rsync is trying to synchronize your data every couple of days. So if you create new files or if you edit files, those will get overwritten and reset or deleted if you don't do anything about it. So one way to do a quick test is to see when the synchronization is going to happen and sneak in before it, get your tests done in a day. But you're going to want to do something better than that to actually work there. So there are ways that you can protect your files from being deleted and protect your files from being overwritten. Again, it's documented, and briefly here, you need to work with rsync filter files to do that. But that is complicated to get right. So it's going to be best in general if you move straight to, or as fast as you can, move to working entirely on the new system and stopping the synchronization or taking responsibility for copying across any files you need yourself. And so the way to do that is on the next slide, which is to end data migration, is to put this flag file .goodbye_GPFS. The leading dot appears on this file and on the rsync filter file. It makes them a hidden file, so an ordinary ls won't show it. You need to do ls-a. But yeah, if you create that file goodbye_GPFS in one of these directories, your home, project, or no backup directory, then the syncing script will stop trying to attempt it. On the next attempt, it will notice that file, record that it's skipping it, and not attempt to synchronize it. And when you put that file in both your project and no backup directories, we will stop looking at that project at all. We'll just stop synchronizing it. And if you change your mind and need to restart synchronization, you'll have to ask us to do that. Same applies to your home directory. When you put a goodbye GPFS file in there, we'll stop syncing it entirely, take it off the list of projects being synchronized. So here's, that file could be empty. So here's the simplest command to do that, is the touch command. Touch home directory /goodbye_GPFS, and your home directory will never be synced again. I think that's it for data migration.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. So that is the whirlwind tour of getting started on the new platform. And we understand that that is a whirlwind tour. And so we're here to provide support. And I really emphasize the team's worked hard to make this a fabulous experience, but we all know that even with the best laid plans, things might go wrong, or documentation might not be clear, all those sorts of things. So please reach out to us. We'd love to have tickets. Tickets are great. We can keep track of those and help you out that way. And the other thing is through our office hours. So over the next at least 2 weeks, and we'll add them as we need them, we're going to do daily office hours. So we really encourage you, if you want a little bit of hand-holding through this process, or you have some questions, you want to be able to share screen and all that sort of good stuff, drop into those. So just scan that QR code, or follow the usual, in the documentation, NESE support docs, you can find the schedule for those office hours. And I really encourage you to go there. The team's really keen, as I keep saying, keen that you have a good experience through all of this. We're really keen to get everyone across and then be able to host the next webinar, which we're already plotting. Spoiler alert, how to get the most out of the new system. But first, let's get you across. So please come across, get started, validate all that work. So as we said, we are constantly optimizing things. So please dive in and have a go and let us know if things aren't working. That's the only way we're going to find out, and then we can fix it as quickly as possible. Pretty much everyone can get started with their work there right now. If that's not the case, it'll be on the non-issues page. So we suggest have a quick look at that, a scan through, and see if your type of work and research is listed in there as something that we're not quite ready for yet. Otherwise, get started. The earlier you come across, the more help we can provide before those end dates. They are hard end dates. We've been joking about the final version of theses, that sort of thing. So this is a real end date, because we do have to work with outside vendors and things to tidy up the end date for these sorts of platforms. So key things, just so it's absolutely clear, big day on the 26th of May. All the jobs on Milan and HGX, so that's the new parts of Mahuika, will finish, as with Maui on that date. Next thing is, please help us by working towards getting that Goodbye GPFS file landed as soon as possible. We will love you for that. I think you will get fewer emails once that's done. I think we can promise that, maybe. That's the goal. So we'll stop nagging you to move once you've done that. And reach out to us if you've got any problems, concerns, comments. We'd love to hear them. And just to show you what that looks like. So we have had some early access users already this week, and this just came in this morning. So things running for one of our users. It's all been rapidly blurred out. Sorry for the de-identified, of course, but things are running smoothly for this user. They had a good experience. It was super quick. Perhaps that's because it's a bit empty. Perhaps that's because it's super quick. Let's go and test it out. So thanks everyone for your attention. I will now hand over, I think, to Nisha to take us through all the, I'm sure there's heaps of questions. So thanks everyone, and over to you, Nisha.
Thank you, George. Peter, did you want to say something before we
I have
move
a quick
to the show?
verbal correction. It's been pointed out to me that my examples of how to create the Goodbye GPFS files were incorrect because I left out the project code. So obviously it should be in your directory, not in NESE project directly. So I'll fix that.
Thank you, Peter.